Guys, we're in Studio A tonight because we have a special guest and we got a great show. I'm telling you right now, I probably enjoyed the history and the research on this topic more than any other topic. We've been doing the show for about a year and a half, and I've really, this show, Lenny, I don't know about you, but this show is about learning as much as what we give to you guys too, because I love picking out these amazing things in history that no one else has talked about, and I think we have some of those tonight. So we have a very, 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 very special guest. And
add one more very, and then I'll be welcome.
Wait. Very special guest. We have Davey.
A little needy, but he's very, 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 very special.
I'm so happy to be here. You guys are amazing. What an amazing show. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
My morning brother.
Yeah.
My morning brother, my 904 brother, Davey Hartzel, is here with us. So happy you came in,
So happy,
Davey.
yeah, man.
Because two old white dudes, old straight white dudes talking about pride. You can give us the total insight and smack us back into place.
I'm not here to influence you. Let's make that clear.
No.
I want to make that very clear. Yeah.
I don't think you can with us. You got two curmudgeons here.
And the experience that I had being in the restaurant industry and living in the West Village.
God bless. Oh, yes.
I can say with a straight face, some of my best friends are gay.
This is one of the best shows to ever be on with Lenny. I'm proud to be here with you two tonight, brother, because, you are West Village. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's West Village, and I'm a pig farmer from DeLand.
Yeah. But with a very open mind and an open heart, which is why I'm here to join in on this conversation.
Yeah.
Very cool.
No, but thank you so much for coming in. And Lenny, always a pleasure. We got your flag up on the TV over your shoulder.
That's so cool.
So that is amazing. We got our Florida flag over my shoulder.
Nice.
And we're ready to get going, if you guys are. Because I think this hour is going to go so fast.
True.
I want to just get into it. But the first thing I got to do is talk about our amazing sponsors. Today we are drinking the Saint Bourbon and Whiskey. And that is from St. Augustine Distillery. This, to me, is one of the best bourbons.
It's smooth. It's good.
Out there, not just from Florida. We're talking out there. This is a great bourbon. If you haven't tried it, get over there and give it a try. St. Augustine Distillery, the #1 tasting tour in the United States as far as tasting tours go. And their sister company, Citygate Spirits, with their amazing flavors. 2 weeks ago, we mixed the cola with the White Lightning,
It was
excellent.
That was
excellent. So get over there, give those guys a try, experiment a little bit, and see what you like. You're going to find something you enjoy. All right, Kaiser's Deli and Market. Blake, did you eat there this week? I didn't feel like you went there.
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, so we're gonna have to stop.
Kaiser's gonna be devastated.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop in there tomorrow. They have the Bollox. We've now added on my portion. I've added the pastrami and pressed it. Oh, so. Davey, have you made it to Kaiser's yet?
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
He actually has the very special dessert, right? Or those little Dutch waffle, have you had them yet? The strufels, right?
Oh, the strufel.
Yeah. They're so good. Yeah. He actually introduced them to us, so they're so good. Yeah.
So get over there and see on Anastasia Boulevard, Kaiser's. It's actually on White Street, but it's corner of White Street and Anastasia Boulevard. Yep. Kaiser's Market and Deli, they got a lot of local vendors in their market. Amazing stuff. All right, Meehan's Irish Pub. My man Reggie talked to him this week. Just a wonderful guy. Did I tell the hack? I don't know.
Of course. Let people know.
Right. They took the tenders off of the regular menu.
Right.
But it's on the kids menu.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, baby. I found it out when I ordered for Maeve last week, and I was like, "Oh,
they're here."
Gonna have to. She's really hungry. She needs 2 orders.
That's one of the best things ever, and it takes them a couple days to make them. It's not an easy make for them. It's not like putting a chicken finger.
Right.
No, I'm telling you, it is so good. All their food's amazing. They won Taste of St. Augustine. People are like, I'm not gonna do bar. I'm telling you, this is not bar food.
No.
The chicken curry's great. The turkey meatloaf is amazing. What is your go-to there?
The drunken clams. They make a damn good Reuben, as they should. And I still think that they've got the most creative and best key lime pie in St. Augustine.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
They serve it. They do it in
amazing.
a soup cup, and it unmolds as a little timbal, and it's outstanding.
I've never had that.
Oh, Davey.
I
it's
like a
phenomenal.
really tart one though.
It'll
Like
get you.
okay,
You'll
good.
You'll pucker.
Nice.
All right.
You'll pucker.
All right. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. I went there this past weekend because I had finished black sails, and I was like, okay, I got to go. And I ended up sitting in front of the computer. Like
Okay.
everyone else is just like walking around me, and Dave and Rebecca were like, come on, let's go. I was like just hitting page after page. So much information in this museum. It's done so well. Captain Mayhem was there.
Nice.
Just wonderful people, always a part of the community. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. They also have the Colonial Oak and Bull and Crown. So and Dr. Barnabar.
nice.
So
And I was also thinking, we talk a lot about pirates on this show, and I was thinking that that's an appropriate thing for tonight's subject as well, because they were lonely at sea.
No, you're very lonely.
Well,
Unless you had Ann Bonny on you.
well,
Yeah.
and Anne had
Reason why they called him Captain Hook.
Anne and Mary. Anne and Mary had a relationship.
Yeah.
So, but they were both saved because they were pregnant.
Yep.
They didn't get
Or
hung
so they
because they were
claimed.
pregnant.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So, well, Mary actually had her child.
Right. And Ann ran. Right.
Anne Rand lived another 12 years. All right, new sponsor, or actually not a new sponsor, but
Returning.
we have them back. Cheshire's Customs and Automotive. Wonderful people talking about, and this is the beauty of our sponsors. They're a part of our community. We love each and every one of them. We use them on a regular basis, and that's what makes it super special to us. Cheshire's Customs, welcome back. Glad to have you guys, Chris and the crew over there.
Pete said this is your Ned outfit.
Ned, I do look like Ned. I
This is your
actually
Ned
saw it.
outfit.
I saw it this morning. I was like, I do look like Ned a little too much. Wish I could cook like him.
So don't we all?
God bless.
All right, Anastasia Mini Golf, Anastasia Boulevard. Yes, this is the one right on Anastasia Boulevard. They have the new carpets. They have beer and wine there. They have a nice little meeting space for a party. And they have soft serve ice cream. Last but not least, Bear, Kresge and Associates. You know what? I didn't save them. I didn't. Last but not least, these are the guys that keep me out of trouble. Best CPAs in town. You can't do your own taxes. You're going to lose money if you do your own taxes. Give these guys a call. They do an amazing job over there. All right.
Hang on. If I have a friend coming to town who's looking for a house or an accommodation or a business opportunity,
Well,
who should they call?
Well, I wasn't going to do Coquina Coast Realty
Well,
because
how can you not?
because we picked up more sponsors there. But Coquina Coast Realty, if you're looking for a
So
house,
important.
commercial,
Public needs to know.
residential, if you're looking for, starting a new development, any of those things, give me a call at 904-669-7901. And if you're talking about development, that's when Walking Man Consulting comes in.
Very nice.
All right. We are, we just have so much information, and there's three of us here, and all of us went down deep dives and rabbit holes and all that fun stuff. So, Lenny, you have a word of origin. Which word of origin would you like to go with?
I'll go with T-dance.
Okay.
T-dance.
Nice.
All right.
T-dance is something that is a lovely way to spend a Sunday afternoon, especially if you're in Provincetown in the summer. Or in Fire Island at the Pines or Cherry Grove.
Yeah, true.
But what a tea dance is something that's been adopted by the happy community because it was something that the British did, and they would serve tea and finger sandwiches, and they would dance like a cotillion. Well, it became a very safe way.
Wait. Again, pig farmer from DeLand.
Cotillion. It's like a formal dance.
Okay.
It's like where your debutantes will come down for their cotillion.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have that in DeLand. So, there's certain words you got to talk me through here.
All right, I got you.
Cotillion. Okay, got it.
Cotillion.
Now move on because now I know what that is.
So, a tea dance in colloquial time nowadays is a Sunday afternoon, more often in the warmer weather, but not necessarily in a predominantly gay community, as in Fire Island or Provincetown up in Cape Cod, and it's a Sunday afternoon spent with like-minded people enjoying their company and dancing on a Sunday afternoon. And there's no aspersion with men dancing with men or women dancing with women, or men dancing with women and women dancing with men. But it's primarily a gay event on a Sunday afternoon.
So back in the
and safety.
60s, back in the 60s, it was hard. It was illegal for men to get together in bars and like hang out and be gay. So you could disguise it because all of gay culture really is about the art of disguise and hiding. So that's how they did this. They did a tea dance essentially, and they could hide behind this in like different areas inside of New York City.
Yeah.
Like an alternative venue meeting.
Okay, and excuse me, I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
Please do,
Davey
yeah.
And Lenny, so you guys are going to have to educate me on some stuff. So in Parks and Recreation, there are some meeting spaces at parks, and they would call those tea parties.
True.
And
Yeah.
and so does that derive? Do you think that derives from the tea dances?
It's possible.
Possibly,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I could see where that could morph over there to that. Yeah.
That's what it called. Where
A clandestine meeting for
meet,
fun. Yeah.
They meet and exactly.
Yeah.
And those were called tea parties, and I never had that association. So I think that has to almost derive from that.
100%. Yeah.
Well, these were.
That's my aha moment number one.
Okay, we'll keep track tonight.
Yeah.
These were, a safe space where people could, be out and proud, for lack of a better explanation. A safe space where people could, exhibit their preferences. They can enjoy themselves. They didn't have to look over their shoulder. As opposed to, there's a lot, every now and again you read about, the sheriff went to the rest stop on Route 95 or whatever it was and rounded up a bunch of guys that were there that, would go and coincidentally meet. It's not safe. It's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And that's just people that are pandering and looking for a quick hookup or, to be eaten by a serial killer.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the tea dances were a lot safer, a lot more organized. Everything people look forward to. They're a lot of fun. But, until the 1960s, mid 1960s, it was illegal to serve alcohol to a person who was knowingly gay. So,
How dare.
Yeah.
That's why we drink so much now.
Gotta catch up. Because you can.
Right.
Got to catch up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and also in my research, and I don't know, I didn't really have it in there. And you said this came from England and the
Correct.
London area. There was in the 1700s, in the early 18th century, there was what was called Molly houses.
Okay.
All right. Did you read anything? about
Different Molly than today.
Yeah, different Molly.
different Molly than what is that? The ecstasy?
Yes, yes, it's street term.
Right. They weren't microdosing in the 1700s.
But
Well,
it was snuff. Right?
definitely.
Right.
But the Molly houses were essentially the basis of the gay bars of the time, and sometimes they would be raided depending on who was in law enforcement at the time, what region they were in, and these Molly houses kind of led into what was called a macaroni man. Okay, and that's where my word origin comes in, is from the word Yankee. All right, so Yankee actually is originally New York City, was founded by the Dutch. Okay, and the most common man's name was Jan. Okay, and the most common man's name. So the British would give a nickname to the Dutch of New York City, and that's when they started calling him Yankee, and it became Yankee. Now Yankee Doodle Dandy was a song created in England to make fun of the colonials, and the colonials didn't know they were getting made fun of. All right, because the colonials, if you think about the song Yankee Doodle Dandy, stick a feather in his hat and call it macaroni. Well, a macaroni, it was a bar, it was a Molly house in London, all right, but it came from macaroni men, who were men who dressed very flamboyantly, and they were basically saying, these ignorant colonials, they can't even be gay right. Is kind of what they were, what the dig was at.
Right.
But the colonials had no idea
What they were talking about.
what they were talking about. They're like, oh, that's kind of catchy,
Right.
and they just owned it during the Revolutionary War. So, like, even when England was trying to dig at the colonials, they're like, F you guys,
Right.
we got this. And so the a macaroni guy, or macaroni man, was somebody who was very well dressed, the big wigs, and the wigs sometimes got so big that servants had to carry their wigs.
Oh
behind
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So I mean, RuPaul, move over.
I mean, Madonna, Vogue, MTV Music Awards.
Yeah.
Remember that moment?
Oh, yeah,
God bless.
No, so ridiculous. But Davey, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so much stuff to talk about, and I really appreciate. And I think a lot of people that I grew up. You call me a boomer, but I am a Gen Xer, even though I act like a boomer in a lot of different ways. And I'm so happy that our society has gotten better, where we can have this conversation without you having.
Oh my goodness!
Without you having to worry about, oh my gosh, who's listening from law enforcement?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the laws that we delved into were just atrocious.
There was a time.
There's still parts of our world where it's still atrocious.
I mean, honestly, for me, I think like Will and Grace kind of shattered the glass ceiling for my family, at least, because it taught my family that you were allowed to laugh at it.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a healthy response to it. But I was like this great, incredible distance athlete growing up. And there were times where like we would train down in Texas and I'd have to change in a different locker room. Like it was a whole different time period because everyone was afraid that I was going to give them gay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like some sort of like something. Yeah. Like, ooh, it's such a fun, trendy lifestyle. No, but I think my word origin tonight is straight acting.
Okay.
And we take the deceptor of straight acting in our community as like the holy grail, and we hold it up. Like if we can hold on to this, like achieve the goal of finally breaking through and being the actual chameleon, you can actually achieve like this great euphoria in gay society. And that is something that we all struggle with because that's being gay is shameful. You're taught that at such a young age. So yeah, it's just a big band of misfits, and they're just trying to figure it out. That's why a lot of gay people are socially awkward, or they're a little bit more reserved. It's because they just don't know how to be able to communicate. It's just so funny because I had such a long career, and then I really didn't give a shit about what anybody had to say about my swimming career, because I knew my therapist was like, you have to be the best in the world, and then no one will ever be able to say anything against you. And I took that to heart, and I think that that's something that gay people will do, is try to hunt for freedom, and that's something that we take for granted every day.
Yeah, and one of my questions, like growing up, like you were a swimmer, and I mean, you're a high level. You missed the Olympics by a fart.
By a fart. Oh my God.
Just a high level, incredible athlete. But growing up, my guy was Johnny Bench.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your person growing up that you modeled after, or was there really no one really that you could say, oh, I want to be like him? Or
as far as like a gay icon?
Yeah. Did you have somebody that you could attach to?
That's a really good question. Did I have like a gay icon that I was like, because nobody was really like even George Michael back then wasn't even comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
So I got to say no. I don't think I really had one that was like.
I don't even think Elton John had
right. No one really
until like the 80s
talked about it. Really, truly talked about it. So I mean, there was Greg Louganis, the diver, but he was.
But when he hit his head, everyone freaked out.
Absolute asshole, though. I'm sorry, he was not a nice person.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him in a parking lot, and he was smoking a cigarette, and I was so disappointed in that, because I was like such this like raised like veal, and you do everything right, and here he is, he's this badass, smoking a cigarette in the parking lot, and I went, hey, oh my God, great, Mr. I think I said Mr. Louganis. He goes, I'm not Mr. yet, baby, and then like kind of like flicked the cigarette. I was like, okay, honey. Listen, honey.
Get over your bad self.
Right.
Well, and it sounds like you had a very solid family, and you came out fairly.
No,
you
I didn't. No, it was a very.
You had to work to that.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was, but I mean, I don't regret any moment of that. I came out when I was 15. And I remember my father had some sort of insurance with his work that would allow me to go to therapy, because they didn't know like what to do with this. Mm-hmm. And I was fine with it. I went to one session, and that therapist seriously changed my life. And she sat down and she goes, you have to support yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to figure it out and be your own advocate. Within 1 year, I became one of the nation's best distance swimmers, and I moved to boarding school and had a full ride and just took care of myself since 15. Mm-hmm. And I kind of left my family behind to kind of figure that out. my mom had a lot of pushback with it because she just didn't understand. And my father,
Well, you were raised Catholic.
oh
so,
yeah,
So there had to be.
and in Delaware, which is a lot like here,
Yeah.
it's not as liberal as everyone thinks it is. It's kind of conservative there. So it was an interesting, growing up, and I don't blame my family. My God, they didn't know what to do, so they obviously did the right thing, was put me in therapy. So I did. I took care of myself, and I'll never forget the day when I came out to my father, who's this military guy, 37 years in the military, sergeant major, incredible love of my life. He's an amazing man, and my mom was the one that always had like such a major issue with it, but he looked at me and he goes, "Shame on you for not talking to me first."
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so powerful,
wonderful
Lenny.
is that?
God,
How
the
wonderful.
tears just, bro, it was like shattered the glass ceiling for me too, because it was just like, wow, man. My father just was like, God, all you got to do is just talk to me.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do is just talk to me. And
But he's seen so much in his world,
100%. Yeah. My Uncle Bill. I mean, I didn't even know.
Yeah. You didn't even know.
Who's his absolute best friend. They were like bosom buddies in college together. They had a house. They were like, you know, they bought a house together. Like, and they all thought that they were gay at one point. And then my father's like, no, I'm not. So it's just like, you know, all of these things that painted his picture, but I never thought to go to dad first. You know, that was my one regret. I should have gone to dad first.
David, do you have siblings?
Yes, I have an incredible sister who's in town. She's a principal over at one of the principals over at Island Prep. But yeah, and I have a beautiful niece, and my brother-in-law's over there too. So yeah, it's good people.
So was your sister supportive?
Of course, sister's been my ride or die. Yeah.
So there was
100%.
So there was some safety net for you at home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my sister. We're 6 years apart, but yeah, she definitely is an amazing advocate for me. Absolutely.
Yeah. With your dad, did you ever have the conversation of, Dad, when did you know? And did you? Have you ever?
Yeah, I know what he means. Yeah.
Yeah. When Dad goes, you know, say, "Hey, Dad, when did you know?"
When
bet
the
Dad
answer,
knew way before-
oh yeah, the
way
answer
before
was
you
when we
came
had
out to
a backyard party, and I took the microphone from the lead singer and started singing Donna Summer in front of everybody at the party. He knew then. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that was a catchy time and a catchy
Absolutely.
tune.
My God, I love Donna. She was amazing. MacArthur's Park. Who leaves a cake out in the rain?
And I love this question because people always ask, you know, because you know, and I think it's one of the dumbest questions out there is, when did you know you were straight?
Right,
Do you
I
get that
know.
question a lot?
I do, of course. I mean, it's,
But
you know,
it's always been you.
It's always been a journey. I mean, I think most gay people always start off as bisexual. You know, they go, I'm 80-20%, you know, 80% guys, 20% girls. Like they'll break it down because again, that's that chameleon. They're trying to like ease into the situation because it's a taboo for a lot of people to be able to understand and appreciate.
Who's the sex doctor that did the scale of, like, you know, you're a 1 to 10?
Was that
Gay-
Ruth Westheimer?
No, it was back in the
Was Kinsey?
Kinsey.
Oh yeah, that's
Kinsey.
right. Yeah,
The Kinsey
Kinsey
report.
scale.
It was a
Yeah,
Kinsey scale.
Right.
He broke it into the mainstream, sort of.
Well,
Yeah.
You know, I'm about 3. I'm about a 9. You know.
Woo, 10.
But it's interesting too because the way the world is set up now, that there is a much greater acceptance than there ever was certainly in this country. Because now, unfortunately, there's a rebound in Africa where you have governmental changes and theocracies coming in there, and all of a sudden, you know, in a lot of places in Africa and the Middle East, homosexuality is a death sentence again.
Oh, I'll never go to Dubai.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
I can't even speak in Dubai.
Well, I can't afford Dubai.
Well, yeah. Right. Even if for a layover, I'm nervous though. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't need to ski on an indoor ski slope. Exactly. Right. Exactly. I want to come home with my hand. No, I was just looking at the watch. I wasn't stealing it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, a lot of my gay friends put a lot of pressure on me too because I'm in Northeast Florida, and they're like, "Why? Why are you here? There's like nothing here for you." But I'm like, "But there's everything." And I think that there's something here. That's what I love. I love unlocking the journey for that eureka moment that, you know, if we affect one person tonight to be able to be like, okay, wow, I can see this whole gamut of it. It's actually just humans being humans. And that's all it is. It's not like a chemical imbalance or someone. My mother thought one day I was standing at a urinal and someone handed me a pamphlet on a trendier way of life. No. It's not like that. It's you know what I mean? Like it's not Hare Krishna. Like I'm not, I didn't read a book and like, oh yeah, this is, I like upholstery. No.
It sounds like a career choice.
Right. Yeah.
But you need compassion, acceptance, and understanding.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'll say it's that simple, and I know it's not that simple. However, it's again, go be Jesus. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right? Yeah.
That's the basic. The bottom. The golden rule is just as simple as can be. Be good to people. Be kind to people. Don't be an asshole.
Right.
And accept somebody even if they're different.
Yeah.
You don't have to sleep with them. I don't know what this is such a sexual thing. It's so funny that I was a swimmer because we're naked all the time, And there was it's the most straightest sport you could ever see in your life. There's not very many gay people at all, but but there's so much sexual tension like in between everything.
It's all the shaving. That's it. I'm telling you.
We're slick.
Your bodies are just too smooth. That's all. It's too smooth. It's too attractive.
You were fairly young during the 80s.
Yes.
And to me, living during the 80s, and I grew up with a lot of lesbian friends, but I didn't have a lot of
different culture.
Gay men friends, and it's a completely different culture. Yeah. Completely different, because baseball and softball players, and I don't know if you've heard this, but there's a fairly high percentage of softball players that happen to be lesbians.
Okay.
I didn't know if you knew this.
Nope.
And so these are people that I played sports with my entire life, and but it was different being a gay man in the 80s, and I can't even imagine living
an effeminate gay man in the 80s.
Well, that terror of what the 80s was, and to me, when Magic Johnson came out, it started accepting and where money started going to
HIV
in HIV, and it changed the conversation in a lot of ways after, was it 91, 92? It changed that conversation of people learned more about it just in one press conference.
You ever see somebody die of AIDS?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it is the saddest thing you've ever seen in your life. I've seen two friends. Yeah. And literally, I've never, and I think that's, and maybe that's PTSD because I'm not a big sleeper arounder kind of a person. I'm not, and I'm so proud of Lenny Kravitz who just came out. He's like, I'm 9 years celibate. I'm like, yes, brother, that's it. But I think that scared me when I saw death like that. Mm-hmm. When I saw how the human body can just shut down and eat you alive like that, that scared the shit out of me. And I was like, you know what? There is something there. And it was a lot of fear for me. But I mean, you're right. If it wasn't for Magic Johnson to be able to have that conversation, who knows if my friends would have even lasted 8 months? I mean, you know what I mean? Like they lasted for 12, 15 years. It's just...
And you were in the restaurant business in New York, so you saw it probably Village more than anyone
in 1981.
God bless.
When this was exploding. It's interesting because I was doing the research for the show tonight, and they mentioned 5 people in L.A., and I'm going, L.A.? Man, in New York City, I lived across the street from the Monster, which was one of the biggest gay clubs. There was one in Manhattan and one on Fire Island. It was one of the biggest gay clubs there was.
I know
it. My entire neighborhood. I got news for you though. And this is not a dig. Best florists in Manhattan.
100%.
I could walk around in 3 blocks and exotics. I could buy artichokes. I mean, I had the greatest flowers in my apartment.
100%.
And it was just there. But it was also one of the safest neighborhoods. The West Village at the time was one of the safest neighborhoods in Manhattan. But by that same token, you would see men who were, in Africa they call it slim because it's a wasting disease. And that's where medical marijuana started, with trying to create an appetite for people that were suffering from HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
And it was at one point in time a death sentence.
Yeah.
It was you
see it in the face.
It was a when,
the leech?
not an if.
Was
Yeah.
it called the leeching?
The lesions,
The
The lesions, that's
the
it.
sarcomas,
And it was just
well, Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. I mean, it was a wonderful representation of that.
But nowadays, it is exceedingly survivable.
It is.
And
you can't be lazy though.
No.
Yeah.
That's
no.
I've seen this too, where some laziness you can fall down a rabbit hole. But yeah, all you have to do is stay up on your meds and you will be fine. I mean, I'm not trying to be so cavalier about it, but yeah.
No, not in the least. But along with Flomax and Altruda, and any other drug that may or may not have harmful side effects, if you read the 47,000 of them that may lead to death,
right.
There's also HIV drugs now that are advertised on TV that I've been safe for years. So it's become not curable, but certainly survivable on a huge level.
And that's where the whole Magic Johnson, it made it human, where it was such a blame game in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just painful, and I can't imagine what the isolation you had to feel as a gay man. I mean, it's already, you have to keep what you'd say, acting straight.
Right, straight acting.
Straight
Yeah.
acting. You already have to kind of do that to maintain a regular lifestyle. But in the 80s, I just, it was almost like you were the villain for being you.
Right.
And I don't understand that with society. But we have a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Right.
Here.
Well,
we got some history
just
to talk about.
one
Here.
thing.
PrEP is the one that you're talking about. It's PrEP. It's called PrEP. What you take today, like you can take this drug and you won't get HIV. But I still think there's a lot of side effects with the liver, and I'm not 100% sold on it. Yeah.
No, just be careful.
But everybody in my life is on it. I mean, I'm not. I just there's something I don't.
But, you talk about
that's
Magic
okay, Lenny
Johnson.
Kravitz.
Right. Exactly. I'm real proud of that. Yeah.
But Magic Johnson brokered it into the mainstream, and I am sure that on 100 levels, if he could avoid it, going public with this, he probably would have.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, what he did was wonderful. But I think back, and I'm older than both of you.
We know that.
Well, thank you very much. By a considerable amount.
Skin looks great.
Thank you very much. Hydration, baby.
See, I love it.
You don't know how much water I drink.
God
You
bless.
swam in it. I drank the pools, baby.
good.
I drink that much water.
That's good.
But I go back to Rock Hudson.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
Rock Hudson. The man was
Big one.
a sex symbol.
Yep.
He was a movie star. He was sleeping with every ingenue and or Doris Day.
Mm-hmm.
And when he finally, people realized, and I'm sure in Hollywood it was probably the worst kept secret in Hollywood.
Can you get a little closer to your mic there? You keep
Blake, can you hear me? Yeah, thank you.
going further away.
I can hear you, but I think it might be better for audiences if you move your mic.
Well, I don't know. Do they want to listen to me? Sometimes
Yeah, no, it's good.
Sometimes they don't.
No, what you're saying is
This is a
important,
great
but
story,
we
yeah.
want to be able to hear it.
But the reality of it is for everybody watching a Doris Day movie, Pillow Talk, whatever it was, with Rock Hudson in it, there was never any expectation that Rock Hudson was homosexual or gay.
Mm-hmm. He
and
was
then
straight
all of a sudden-
acting.
Yeah, and then, yes, he's sure.
There you go.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
By that same token, if it wasn't for Rock Hudson, we wouldn't have Amfar, we wouldn't have Elizabeth Taylor spending all her clout and influence on working toward a cure or fundraising for this horrible disease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, it's the 21st century.
And now Elton
let
John.
people be people.
Elton John's done incredible fundraising for
Absolutely.
HIV and AIDS nowadays. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get into some of the history stuff because
Let's do it.
All three of us kind of did some dives. It's
Well.
just absolutely incredible. And Davey, you sent an article about Greek warriors.
Yes.
So go into that story where some of the most ferocious warriors of the world in the history.
God, this totally validates so much about gay culture, but I love it. The elite ancient Greek fighting force made up of entirely gay couples. So apparently this started with the Battle of Tigra, 375 BC.
They had a tea party there.
Yeah, they had a tea party. Nice. They proved to be the legendary Spartan army that couldn't be defeated. 1,000 Spartan soldiers trained for combat from the age of 7. But essentially, since there was some gay couples, they actually partnered the gay couples together to fight in this battle, and they were victorious. 150 gay couples. Can you imagine? So this kind of kicks off Pride Month, and you kind of think about
Changes the whole,
we were on the front lines.
changes the whole way you look at the movie.
I know. We're slapping and scratching our way through
the movie
success.
300.
Yeah, totally. I'm like,
150 couples. Now we know.
now we understand why they wore a loincloth. Yeah.
But if I understand
I
it,
got your back.
there was a logic to that in the fact that if you were fighting next to your partner and or your lover,
You'd
you
fight
would
harder.
be much more aggressive to protect that person.
Yeah, yeah.
And you would be a better warrior because you had skin in the game. And that was a lot of it as well.
I'm trying to think of my Brian, if he was alive. I don't think that he would have just been like, babe, you can take care of this. I'm going to be back here. I'm going to have a cigarette and a beer, all right?
Good luck.
My complete opposite. Oh, you guys would have loved him. And the voice of a radio legend, yeah.
I met him. You.
That's right.
Yeah.
You did meet Brian. Oh,
Brian.
wow. That's awesome. You're like one of the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, I met Brian.
That's awesome.
He loved Tropicali.
Yes, he did. He really did love Tropicali. Yeah. Anyway.
But here's the irony of that. Talking about the Spartan. About that same time, we talk about Japanese warriors and the samurai.
Sure.
Exact same thing, but it was younger and older, and the mentors
Right.
of the warriors. But they actually had a male contract, like a wedding ceremony, where they actually were connected for life.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yet many of them still had wives.
And the wives basically were there for procreation,
Right.
but they would sleep with their warrior partners.
Jeez.
And, so same-sex marriage has been around
Yes,
over 1,000
eons.
years.
Yeah.
So we didn't break the glass ceiling
With
US.
Will and Grace, right?
Yeah.
They were just kind of, unearthed it.
So, but I mean, a lot of the history that I did, it was very, very fluid, and religion's what changed a lot of our society of how we looked at sexuality. And to me, one of the most interesting stories, and I don't think you guys found this one, but I found it. I went to the city of St. Augustine and wanted to find out, okay, gay relationships within St. Augustine. But what I found out is the actual St. Augustine
Of Hippo, yeah.
was bisexual,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually made a statement of abstinence is great, but not right now, in one of his writings.
Really?
Yeah, and there's paintings of him with men and women in his early life, and to me, that was one of the ones that, just because it brings that connection to St. Augustine in my deep dive, and people don't realize we had a gay president already. Our 15th president.
Hoover.
No, it was Buchanan, James Buchanan.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was the only president that was never married.
I didn't know this.
He had a relationship with a senator his entire time when he was living in D.C.
What book is this in? I need to read this.
Google James Buchanan, our
Oh,
gay
wow.
president. It's right there.
I thought Buchanan wanted to build the fence in the 80s against Dukakis.
Different Buchanan. That was Pat.
Different Buchanan. Okay, so I'm still there. I'm still in the game.
That was Pat Buchanan. Very good.
Partial credit.
Partial credit
This is
on
why
that
I'm a
one.
B student.
But our
Okay.
15th president was a gay man.
Oh,
and
wow.
they found after his death, they found love letters to him where his partner had moved to France, where it was a little more accepted.
Yeah.
But even going back to Andrew Jackson, when he was president, he called him, he called the two of them like fancy pants or something like that.
Oh, cool.
So it was very openly known that these two were together. And that we're talking 1858. So we had a gay president.
Can I ask, how was it in DeLand?
DeLand.
How did you get to where you are with how you feel about gay people now? Because it's
DeLand-
had to have been a shift.
DeLand, I can tell you right now, I never
You never did.
I never did because, like I said, I had so many lesbian friends growing
true.
up.
Okay.
I mean, I would go to in college. I would go to a gay bar with them, and
Amazing.
I was never,
Good.
It never affected me. And I would go to a gay bar, and I tricked people
Wow,
to go to gay
hats off
bars
to
with
them
me.
for
And then
teaching
they
you.
were like, "Okay, I'm not going to the bathroom by myself. You have to stand behind me."
Right,
I was
right.
like,
Seriously?
I was like, "You're such an idiot."
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Just
mean,
say,
All you gotta do is say, eyes on the road. They're fine.
Yeah, I was
please.
Say you're just not that good looking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was like, the fact that they're not hitting on you should tell you,
Right.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
where you're at. And but I never really had an issue with it. Racism was a bigger factor
Is there something-
in
okay.
DeLand than
sexuality.
sexuality.
Interesting.
Sad as well.
You know, and being in sports, I mean, and you know, the black culture is a little slower to accepting homosexuality.
Yeah.
That's why there's the down low.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's the DL.
yeah, and you know,
And there's
so
a lot of it going on in that community, and nobody wants to admit it.
yeah.
No, yeah.
No, it exists in every. I mean, the percentages
sure.
are what the percentages are.
Yeah.
And you know, it really to me was never an issue. Obviously, with some of the more redneck, you know, guys that probably were closer to where they didn't want to be.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
they're threatened of some sort.
Yeah, they were threatened by it. I think it was a bigger issue, but I'm telling you, to me, it was never an issue, and I attribute that more to my lesbian friends that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
You know, and I, you know, obviously, you know, you and I have been friends for
Yeah,
you know,
eons, really,
decades.
honestly.
But it never really was an issue with me. So
That's awesome. That's good to know because I mean, like I said, I get a lot of crap for living in this area because there's like, why? There's like no culture here, but I'm like, yes, there is. You just have to dig a little bit, but it's when you unearth it, it's amazing.
and I'm
Like that's a beautiful story.
and I'm going to give credit to Stetson University a little bit too.
Okay.
Because it created an art culture. It created a more open mind thinking process. And just even in St. Augustine, you got to give credit to Flagler College a little bit of the culture that it's brought to the city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because without that, would we still be stuck in 1968?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so I got to give credit to Stetson University for the land. I got to give credit for Flagler. You know,
Especially it started as a women's school and then brokered into co-ed, and I'm sure that was a slow progression as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I got to shout out House of Prism too because I've just seen the growth of pride in our town for the 15 years that I've lived here and seeing it. Like last year was a movement. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited for this year too. It's coming up on the 15th. It's on a Saturday, and we're gonna do another Pride walk. But yeah, we have drag brunch in our town, and I've got to tell you, it's such a celebration. It's clean. It's you can you can bring a wide range of age groups there, but it's just awesome to see that rally and that movement still happen, even though we are under some kind of turmoil and some kind of circumvention within the government. Still limited on some things that we can do in life. But yeah, I'm proud of our town because we are making leaps and bounds.
Yeah, but your brain only learns if it's open.
True.
But on a state level in Florida, I will say without hesitation, there is state-sanctioned bigotry coming out of Tallahassee.
It's interesting. It really kind of makes you kind of take a couple steps back.
I do not find the government in Florida that is in office now to be the least bit. I find it exceedingly hypocritical.
Lenny, here's
hurtful.
my statement.
Hypocritical. No, hypocritical.
I'm going to disagree with the relationship because the government doesn't set our society. Society sets our society. So no matter what the government says,
it's coming from our society.
It's coming from our society and within our society, and it's the people that you're neighbors with. It's the people that
frightens me.
One man who's sitting in the house over here doesn't dictate what the neighborhoods.
I mean, we talked about it pre-show. We had such a problem with the Acosta Bridge and turning it into the gay pride movement or the colors last year. And now we have Freedom Summer, and now it has to be red, white, and blue across the board in Florida. And we had 70 people did a peaceful protest with their flashlights in gay pride colors. That was a beautiful moment.
That makes for a beautiful moment, and that's a learning moment.
Right, but is that going to be changed?
Yeah, it is. And I can tell you, that's what I'm saying. Society will always win.
It's just going to take a little while to get there.
Over what's there.
Because how is mandating, dictating, and I will use that word for our beloved white-booted governor, dictating that the bridges must be red, white, and blue in Freedom Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the freedom in that,
but
sir?
The core of that.
I mean, trust me, I put an American flag out every day.
Yeah.
I'm a huge patriot. I love this country. I put my flag out in front of my house every day. Now, somebody once said to me that, that way people think you're a Republican. They're not going to rob you because they think you got guns. That's not the case. I do it because I'm a proud American.
right,
and
yeah.
it deserves
But go
be
to the
out
core
there.
of that, and go to the core of your history that you just learned.
Hmm.
Okay, go to the core of that, and that comes from a religious-based decision-making situation. All right, and
Okay.
let me finish the thought. Because he gets elected because he's hard right Christian. All right, and he takes that stance from a religious-based decision-making. As we move further and further away, and our country is moving further away because our eyes are opened a little bit more, our brains are opened a little bit more, our hearts are opened a lot more, and we make decisions as our own, we're going to move further and further in that direction. And as the numbers, and I don't want to make this a religious thing because as an agnostic,
Right. We're in a tough position to do that.
I'm going to hurt people's feelings on this, but the fluidity of sexuality disappeared because of religion.
Absolutely. And
Oh,
I've got,
yeah. I
I
agree
mean,
with
it happened when the Spanish came to the New World because the indigenous population in Mexico and Central America were all very, very fluid. There were same-sex
They didn't give a
relationships.
shit.
No.
And the Spanish
people
came and
live.
started. The Spanish came and said, "You can't do that."
Yeah.
I mean, the church did the same thing in Europe. I mean, you've got people like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci had same-sex relationships allegedly or apparently, and
Socrates.
Yeah. So it's nuts. But then you get to the point where I just find there's a lot of hypocrisy kicking around, and
That's what I'm saying. The political is run by the masses. The masses are gradually getting. You don't think so?
I don't
What do
think
you
so
mean,
anymore.
How do you shake your head no to that? Because
Because
to me,
I think
the numbers create that.
I think
And the fact that you're shaking your head no to that, it baffles me on your thought process.
well, because I'll tell you this: I think the masses elect the chief executive, who then pays no attention to the populace and does what he or she chooses to do.
Yeah.
But there's
Because if you
influence
look at-
there.
Yeah.
Well, but if you look at any
the Christ-
polling data, which and you have to take polling with big grains of salt. I understand
Right,
that polling
yeah.
is inaccurate, but to a large degree, look at the numbers that want legalized marijuana, that want same-sex marriage, that want abortion. Yet the people that have the ability to legislate are so myopic in their opposition to it.
What
that
makes
they-
them myopic?
Right. What makes them myopic?
What's the core that makes them myopic? They're Christian-based.
Fine, but it does not
decision-makers.
represent
Religion.
the majority of the people that want some change.
Then the other people need to show up at the polls.
I agree
They
with
do.
you. I
And
understand
do
that,
that.
but it frustrates the daylights
Don't
out
sit
of
on-
me
I
to
know.
listen to Ron DeSantis talk about indoctrination. We can't indoctrinate.
I
You
know,
can't
yeah.
just- And the man is indoctrinating the shit out of everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a free Florida, but you can't read that book. Well, who are you to tell me that I can't read that book?
Well,
Don't read it yourself.
I can
I have
tell you
no
this.
problem with you not reading
I
it.
can tell you
but don't
this.
tell me I can't read it.
I can tell you this, and you're exacerbating there are certain books that do not belong in schools.
Fine.
That's
Fine.
the only thing he's stopping. The left,
Mom and Chap, Mrs. America, however, are running out
Right.
going, these two penguins can't have these two male penguins can't have a male penguin baby.
Right.
Well, they can't raise
Yeah.
a penguin. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, he's stopping certain books in that I agree with. I don't know about the penguin book that you're talking about.
Later, Skater.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
That's a dirty one, yeah.
No. But there's
But I can
Pete,
tell you-
Pete and Paula have
Right,
a puppy,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, there are certain books that do not belong
Fine.
in schools, and censorship. And I am an open book when it comes to that stuff. I can tell you right now, and I'm not overly defending Ron DeSantis.
I mean, Blake
But I
couldn't
can
use
tell you-
Twitter until he was like 15 or something, right?
Let's
Yeah,
not talk about
that's when he
that.
got put
Oh,
in
here.
trouble.
Oh.
Let's not
That's
talk
when he
about
got in
that.
trouble. That's the only time Blake's ever
But
been
Right.
suspended. He opened a Twitter account so he could talk to race car drivers.
Right.
So that's the only time he got in trouble. But
So you sanctioned him on this too.
I censored him.
Gosh.
But that's the parents' role to do that.
It was not a fun muff, Davey.
Yeah. It was not.
But there are
but-
some books
but
that are absolutely inappropriate
there are
for schools.
clearly
No doubt.
inappropriate. So there are certain times where it fits. But I can tell you right now, the basis of the core of everything is the religious-based decision making. In this scenario, and a lot
Is
of
it money driven? or is it energy?
Religion is a
It's
business.
power-driven.
Religion is a business, and you said something where the Pope.
The Pope just made a slip. Yes.
the Pope
Whoa.
made a slip,
Yeah.
And he's probably the most progressive. And
100%. Yeah.
for sure.
maybe could be the most progressive Pope we're going to see in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in Blake's lifetime, we see more open situations.
Yeah, woman pope.
But
bless.
I can tell you, right
Probably
now,
not.
a lot of the fluid sexuality and all the research I did, like Shinto and Buddhism, they had no rules on homosexuality. But Muslim still could be death.
Yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely.
a lot,
Absolutely.
It's
So
not just
scary.
Dubai.
Right.
It's not just Dubai. And that's the
No,
way.
Central Africa today, for sure.
So scary.
That's the way it was. And I can tell you, the person who saved us in World War II committed suicide because he was found out he was a gay man.
Wow.
Turing,
Is Alan Turing you going with?
Alan Turing.
Yeah, sure.
He's the one who figured
The
out the
code breaker.
enigma.
Yeah.
And he saved the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, today's D-Day.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. This man who was a gay man who pretended like he had a fiance at one point because he had to pretend like that,
Another warrior.
and
Right.
because he was outed, possibly one of the most brilliant minds
Yep.
of that time committed suicide because of other people's religious beliefs. And to me, that's the basis of my argument on this situation. So.
Could you imagine living in that kind of terror? You know what I mean? How horrible
No,
that, and to be that
well-
smart and to live in that kind of cloud.
And what you're doing is saving the world. His brain was so advanced.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing was saving the world, and the world.
And how he could be so stupid to not save himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the world saw him only as a gay man,
Right.
and not the man who saved the world.
And it was until 1967 where the Sexual Offences Act in England was passed that didn't eliminate, decriminalized private homosexual acts between men over 21. 1967. Oh no, they used to. If you were gay in England, they used to.
You had to be 21 though. I love that.
Right, exactly. Hey, earlier years,
Kevin Spacey, that's why he moved out there, I guess, right?
and it took until 2003 for the United States Supreme Court to overthrow all the sodomy laws in the country because it was different in every state.
I thought we still had some sodomy laws out there.
According to Lawrence v. Texas, sodomy laws have been declared unconstitutional since 2003.
Yeah.
However, it took a bunch of states. Virginia repealed them in 2005. They repealed an 1877 law. In 2014, Virginia removed the ban on same-sex relationships. Utah, not surprisingly, 2019 eliminated crimes of sodomy. 2020 in Maryland, which I find surprising. 2022 in Idaho, which I don't find surprising. So these are crimes, and those are crimes against nature, as they put them out there.
Of course.
Yeah. Who's who? Okay, that's
nature. I know that you have me at nature. I'm like,
nature.
okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
All right. Now, you guys, I'm going to give each one of you because we got about 8 minutes left in this show, and I feel like we. But
so
you guys
fun.
both have. I mean, amazing. And Davey, thank you for coming in. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And,
Come back anytime on any
Lenny,
subject.
So
yeah,
fun.
anytime you want to come in, you're welcome.
Thanks,
on
guys.
Bollox,
This is a great
and
show.
We really appreciate it. But I want to give both you guys a chance. I know you had different stories that are out there that you want to throw out in history that you didn't get to.
Oh.
So, Davey, I'm going to give you first dibs.
I will talk about Marsha P. Johnson and Stonewall.
Okay.
And Lenny, you got to help me with this one too, because this is your home turf, right?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I know it well. I lived 3 blocks away.
Oh, you did really?
Sorry, not at the time because it was 1969.
But
yes, I
still,
lived 3 blocks
like
away from
even to this
Stonewall.
day, when you walk the streets and you cross, and Stonewall still exists, it's a bar, and it's just amazing. So a bunch of people were having a club moment, and the police raided one night, and Marsha P. Johnson was probably one of the biggest human rights activists at the time, and this great drag queen and kind of stood up for the whole movement and literally put herself on the front lines and was such a champion for homeless homosexuals and kind of gave them was a shepherd of that community. So yeah, I'm wearing her right now. She's a huge inspiration. But anything you can to shine a light on Marsha.
Well, the interesting backstory about that is the Stonewall was owned by the mob.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The mafia and the mob knew that there was a lot of money to be made in supporting gay clubs or gay bars.
Right.
And apparently there was, they didn't pay off the police, and the police raided the club, against the better wishes of the mob. And that's why they went in there, because there was the cops fighting the mob at that point in time. And the mafia made a lot of money supporting gay bars and restaurants.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was where they went into Stonewall. And it was really pretty wacky. But it was, and you know what? And that was enough was enough.
Yeah.
Because they stood up and they said, nope, not today.
Yeah.
And they fought back. And it was the Stonewall riot. It was the gay community actually struck back against the police, and it was a brawl. And they were throwing people in paddy wagons like you ain't never seen.
The Battle of Tigra was resurfaced. Yes.
Sparta.
Definitely back.
So, yeah. And now it's on the National Register of Historic Places.
Incredible,
it's
yeah.
a landmark.
You can feel the energy when you go there, just to be like, wow, what existed in that moment in time, and to be able to have the freedom just to breathe air, as a gay man is something to be celebrated.
And that was 1969. It still took years and years for more. I mean, that was your glacial movement or your turning of your aircraft carrier. That's how long and how slow it took to get that.
Yeah.
But my favorite one is and I. You know me well enough to know that I come back to hypocrisy where I see it and I call it out because, it's just fascinating. Because, everybody's default Bible nowadays is the King James Bible.
Oh, yeah. I was
King
not
James,
Kabbalah, but
It's going more to the Quran.
Well, that's true.
Because they're having way more children than the Christianity is. That's way more dangerous to what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. But I get a kick out of the fact, and there's a show on TV now called, I guess it's James and George or something of that nature. But it was King James had a male lover who was the Duke of Buckingham, George Villiers, who his mother kept pushing him into, George, go see the king. Go see the king. Yeah. George, go sleep with the king. Go sleep with the king.
Wow.
And King James I of the Bible fame had a lover, George Villiers, who was the Duke of Buckingham, who at one point in time became one of the most powerful people in England because he was, stood with the king.
Wow.
So, see, and I can tell you there in the King James Bible, I'm not sure how this works out. I don't know if either one of you can help me. Catholic school might help you with this. Adam and Eve only had 3 sons.
Cain and Abel.
Seth, I got it wrong. Seth, I got it wrong.
Seth was their 3rd son. After Cain killed Abel.
We always forget about Seth.
And most of our lineage from the King James Bible comes from Seth. So was it one of Seth's daughters that created the rest of us? Because Abel didn't have any children. And Cain was cast out.
Look at you, sleuth.
Cain had children.
Am I going to hell?
Where did the rest of us come from?
Where did we come from?
Where was Eve at the time?
They only had 3 boys.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay.
Well, hang on. We get into that immaculate stuff.
Sorry, the dark agnostic came out.
Well, the interesting question, though.
I'm sorry, the biology of it. Just saying. All right, Davey, I have one more question for you.
Sure, yeah.
And if it goes to the... Can you... Now, I mean, you're not an old guy. You're still a very young guy.
Ish.
But was there a point in your life where things just got so dark because of your sexuality that you're like, okay, what can I do to make things better? I mean, when you moved to St. Augustine, was that a hard transition? Because you were in New York, much more accepting of your lifestyle.
Was
there a time where you're just like, gosh, I just,
I think my whole life has kind of been that way, though, but it's always been about perseverance.
Here's my thought, and the reason I asked this question, so you understand where I'm coming from, the origin of where I'm coming from. At no point in my life was like, wow, I really wish I was gay, you know? Because
I see what you mean.
I saw my gay friends and just the struggle that came along with it. Like my friends that were black, I never went, wow, I really wish I wish I was tall, right?
Exactly.
You know, but I never went, wow, I really wish, I mean, you know, my black friends had a much tougher road. My gay friends had a much tougher road.
And that was what my father was worried about, was the tough road.
The road that
and
you
I
had to
remember before he went to Iraq, he wrote me a letter, and it said, I remember there was a line, and I still have the letter, something about your life you will either be tormented or you won't be, but it's all about the choices that you make in life. And for me, he used that word torment, and I was always so angsty about that, because it was like I didn't choose this life. And there's always been something about me that has always said, you know what? 2 tears in a bucket, motherfuck it. You're going to have a great life. You just be the best you can be. And that's all I can do. And that is a famous, that quote is actually from a famous drag queen, which is Lady Shebley out in Savannah, from the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Great, great, great book. But that I read that maybe at 13 or 14 years old, and that just stuck to me. And it was like, that's what I got to be in life. I've got to be a force of good, and I just got to keep going forward. And you just never know. And so far, I've made it. Since I was 15, I've done this all by myself.
You're an awesome human being.
I love it.
Lenny,
I love
an
my
awesome
life.
Human being.
But Davey, one of the things you just said, which is really, I think, one of the most salient things that we can bring to the table tonight, is you said, you know, people think it's a choice. It's not a choice.
No,
this is not a decision that you made. This is who you are.
It's not
you
a
did not
choice.
make this
It's
decision.
absolutely not.
This is you.
No, yeah.
And you know what? And
for a long
You're
time, I
strong,
thought it
brother.
was like I was ashamed of that I couldn't change myself. And there was that. And that's when I went to that.
Struggle.
Okay, that's that struggle.
That's
Yeah.
the struggle I was trying to get
Yeah.
at. Is like, you know, did that come to you where you're just like, oh, fuck it.
Right. There was
You know,
this.
just
Music
fuck
has
it,
always kind
fuck
of.
it and
yeah.
own it
yeah.
and just go with it. Because, I mean, to me, you are just a strong human being. And, you know,
Thank you.
I have great love for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
Yeah.
and the people that don't, fuck them.
Right. Yeah, of course.
You know, and
They're lost.
You know, and-
absolutely, absolutely.
exactly. And that's
We all need a little more
that's-
Davey Hartzel in our life. That's all I'm
Sorry.
saying.
I'm bringing my best.
that's the struggle. I was like, where did that happen in your life where you're like, fuck it?
Yeah, that was when I left for boarding school.
Okay.
When I knew
That's
that I
awesome. That
trained
early.
myself.
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
14 years old, I trained myself. I just knew. I stared at that black line every single day in that swimming pool, and I was like, I am going to be the best to get the hell out of here and make my life and do something great. So yeah,
awesome.
that's it.
So on that note, boys, I have something really, really important to bring up. How do you feel about Citygate Spirits, the St. Augustine Distillery, Coquina Coast Realty, Meehan's, Kaiser's Deli, Anastasia Miniature Golf,
Get it.
Cheshire Collision and Painting
Customer
Vans.
Collision.
Who am I leaving out? A.B. Kresge Associates.
You.
Coquina Coast Realty.
I got them in there.
Oh, you did. Hey, guys, you know what? Thank you guys so much. I literally have enjoyed this show more than any other shows we've done.
Awesome, dude.
I think
Thank
we
you.
hit some things that a lot of people have not hit, and it needs to be talked about more, and we need to wake up some people in the world.
I yell very loud. I don't know if I'm waking them up or scaring them away.
Your passion is amazing.
Exactly. So I love both you guys for being a part of this with me. Please hit that share button. I want people to see and hear our voices on this show.
Absolutely.
And we just appreciate you guys being there with us. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents, and we'll see you next week.
Can we have Davey back again?
We can have Davey
Okay.
back whenever he
Thank
wants
you.
to come back.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much. Thank you very much.